Now, hello class 9. Today I want to start with the age of the Guptas. Now, first thing is sources to reconstruct the age of the Guptas. Now, number 1, literally sources. Literally accounts of Fayen. Literally accounts of Fayen. Fayen's famous book, Fo Kau Ki. That is the travels of Fayen. The travels of Fayen. Now, and I told you before that in every chapter the sources plays very important role. The sources plays very important role. Now, literally accounts of Fayen. Fayen visited India during the reign of Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II's rule period is 375 to 414 AD. He traveled all over India for more than 13 years. For more than 13 years, he traveled all over India. On his return to China, after traveling India for 13 years, he returned to China and wrote a book called Fo Kau Ki. The Fo Kau Ki means the travels of Fayen. He mentions that the city of Pataliputra had two grand monasteries. In his book, their book's name is Fo Kau Ki, that is the travels of Fayen. There he gave a description of the city of Pataliputra. He mentioned there that the Pataliputra had two grand monasteries, one of the Hinayana and other of the Mahayana. We know, my students, that Buddhism was divided into two sects, Hinayana and Mahayana. He felt amazed to see the grandeur of Ashoka's palace, which still existed when Fayen visited Pataliputra. Fayen visited Pataliputra, and after visiting Pataliputra, he was amazed looking at the grandeur of Ashoka's palace. The wealth and prosperity of the capital city, deeply impressed him. There was an excellent hospital run by the wealthy citizens of the town. Although the king was a devout Vaishnava, so the king, that is Chandragupta II, was a devout, very dedicated Vaishnava. Now, the relations between the followers of various sects were cordial. The relations Chandragupta II maintained with different sects were very cordial. Now, they are very cordial. He felt amazed to see the grandeur of Ashoka's palace, and he also amazed to see the very good relations among all the religions during Chandragupta II's time. Now, the people of the country was very honest and law abiding. That is, my student, look at the book, the people were very honest. The people were very honest and law abiding. The people were very honest and law abiding. And there was absolute peace. There was law, honest and law abiding, and there was absolute peace within the country. And people were quite well off, wealthy. The people were honest and law abiding and free from unnecessary restrictions on their movement. Now, they could go wherever they desired to go. The people could go wherever they desired to go. The criminal law was mild and the punishment of death remained unknown. The criminal laws in the country, there was very limited criminal law. That is, people did not commit any crime, and the punishment was unknown. Thus, Fayen's narrative helped out not only to reconstruct the history of Buddhism but also to know the social, religious, and economic conditions that prevailed in the early years of the 5th century AD. Number 2, other literary works. Other literary works. My students, look at the book Other Literary Works. Kalidasa was the greatest literary genius of the Gupta period. My students, listen carefully. Kalidasa, I hope all of you have heard the name of Kalidas. Kalidas was the greatest literary genius of the period. Now then, Abhigyan Shakuntalam, popularly known as Shakuntala, is regarded as one of the best literary productions of the world. Now, Kalidas' best production, Abhigyan Shakuntalam, is known as the best, popularly known as Shakuntala, is regarded as one of the best literary productions of the world. Now, besides that, my students, besides Kalidas, Abhigyan Shakuntalam, the Smritis also give us a lot of information in respect of the Gupta society. Vishaka Datta's Devi Chandraguptam, a Sanskrit drama, relates the early life of Chandragupta too. Now, my students, besides the literary work, there is the archaeological sources. Allahabad Pillar, inscription about Samudragupta. Now, Allahabad Pillar is very important and gives us many important information regarding the Gupta period. Now, my students, in my book, page number B68, Allahabad Pillar inscription. The Allahabad Pillar inscription is in Sanskrit. It was composed by the court poet Harisena. So, my students, very carefully you listen that it was composed by the court poet Harisena. Now he composed. Now what he composed? Now all the inscription, and it was written in Sanskrit. All the inscription written, my student, it is written in Sanskrit language. It was written in Sanskrit language. Now, my student, it was composed by the court poet Harisena. It gives a detailed account of the conquest and personality of the king Samudragupta. From the inscription, we came to know all the details about Samudragupta, about his conquest. The inscription shows that Samudragupta's conquest can be divided into several groups. Number 1, my students, he first defeated the rulers of Arjavata in northern India, whose dominions were annexed by the Gupta rulers. Number 2, the king then marched against southern rulers. He defeated them but did not annex their kingdoms. Number 3, many other forest tribes and rulers of frontier and eastern regions submitted to the emperor and agreed to pay tributes to the Gupta Empire. So, my students, first northern India, then southern, and then eastern. That is, one by one, Samudragupta conquered almost whole of India. Now, after this conquest, Samudragupta performed Ashwamedha Yajna. He performed Ashwamedha Yajna. On this occasion, to celebrate his conquest, he issued gold coin depicting his sacrificial horse. The Allahabad Pillar inscription called Samudragupta a great musician. So, my student, Samudragupta was a great emperor. He was a great conqueror, warrior, and he was a great musician. This is also confirmed by some of the coins which show him playing the veena, which is confirmed. We can say that he was a great musician. Looking at the flute, the musical instrument on the coins. Now then, besides Allahabad pillar inscription, number 2 is the Vishnu temple and the Gupta sculpture. Very important. The Vishnu temple at Deoghar near Jhansi marked a change from the early flat roof temples to the latter style with high shikaras. So in the beginning of the Gupta Empire, we witnessed the flat roof temples in the beginning, gradually high shikaras. The Gupta sculptures discarded foreign in the Gupta rulers were very fond of Indian culture. So the Gupta sculpture discarded foreign influence and adopted a style which was totally Indian in character. The Gupta artist made beautiful statues of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, Vishnu, and other Brahmanical gods. The Gupta rulers were also fond of Hindu, ideals. Oh, and they made beautiful statues of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, Vishnu, and other Brahmanical gods. The image of the seated Buddha at Sarnath, and the standing Buddha. So at Sarnath and at Mathura, my students, at Sarnath and Mathura, very, very important sculpture. Now, one Sarnath and another is Mathura. My students, one is Sarnath, another Mathura. The Gupta sculptures in Sarnath, seated Buddha, and in Mathura, standing Buddha, discovered most outstanding specimen of Gupta sculpture. These two were the most outstanding sculpture of the Gupta culture. It belongs to Gupta culture and belongs to Gupta sculpture. My students, today up till this, in my next class, I will teach you the remaining part of the chapter. Thank you very much. Okay.